I think in a rapidly changing world, there's no skill more critical than rethinking your old assumptions, right? Many of the beliefs we built up were created in a world that doesn't exist anymore. A lot of leaders are struggling to rethink their prior convictions. One of the most valuable lessons that I've learned around that came from the Nobel Prize winner, Kahneman. I gave a talk, and afterward, I was walking out, and I saw that he was in the audience. And I was stunned, because this is the closest I will ever get to a Nobel Prize. He stopped me, and he said, "That was wonderful. I was wrong." And I was so surprised. I'd never heard somebody sound excited about being wrong before. Danny was a pretty pessimistic guy, but his eyes were dancing. He looked enthusiastic. He was smiling. So I tracked him down for lunch, and I said, "Danny, it seems like you enjoy being wrong." And he said, "No one's ever pointed that out to me before." And then, as you would expect from a Nobel laureate, he corrected me. He said, "No, I don't enjoy being wrong. I don't know anyone who enjoys being wrong. But I do enjoy finding out that I was wrong, because it means I am now less wrong than I was before." And all of a sudden it hit me that realizing you were wrong is a sign that you've learned something new. And Danny said, finding out I was wrong is the only time I'm sure I've learned anything new. I think this is a critical skill when it comes to being able to rethink your past assumptions and abandon ideas that are holding you back, is to find the joy of being wrong. And what that means concretely is remembering that the faster you are to recognize you were wrong, the faster you can move toward getting it right. And that should be a joyful discovery.
We should understand that we've had unrest of different forms forever and ever. The world is not a stable place. Now that unrest has taken a somewhat different dimension, and perhaps an ominous dimension, because all of a sudden the one thing we could count on, namely peace in Europe, is no longer there. I just think it's very important to understand that uncertainty has been with us forever. That uncertainty has, to some extent, changed character. But in essence, we're dealing with the same thing we've always had to deal with. And that's where risk aversion comes in, carefulness, use of the correct and efficient instrument to regulate that, be they derivatives or something else. All those things come together. But we're not living in a unique time, although it may feel that way for the younger generation. We've had problems before.
The final thing of the essentials that the good teams do, they keep developing themselves and they keep developing the team. Why is this key? Absolutely key. You know, it's really funny. We draw the organizations as boxes, square boxes, who reports to whom or whatever. If there's a one thing organization is not, it's not a box. Organization is organic, and it every day changes. So you have to keep training the people who are in the organization. You have to be curious to train yourself and get improved. You have to make sure that the team you're working with gets trained. And honestly, I'm not talking here about 6 months or 2 years MBAs, because all good leadership training happens on the job. But it means you do take time frequently to go out and learn new things, challenge yourself, and ensure that you do that.
How can we create momentum and continuous improvement in a team? That's not so easy, particularly in a changing world, because the temptation is to change every so often because the world is changing. So then you're getting no real progress because you have stopped what you were doing and you're changing to something else. So the concept here is something that we in our book, Great by Choice, with Jim Collins, called a 20-mile march. It means that you're setting a target, a metric that everyone can agree on, and that's your marching metric. How many more steps and how much progress can we make every month, every week, every quarter, and so on? And that gives people a target to focus on. People can see where they need to go, and they can see the continuous improvement that they need to be able to shoot for in that. So for example, that target could be your customer service score or your net promoter score that you're getting from your customers. Let's say on a scale from 1 to 7, today it's 4.5. The idea is like, how can you get it to 4.6, 4.7, 4.9, 5? What are the things that we need to change to get to 5.5 or 5.8, right? To see where we're going. And people get inspired when they can see that we're making progress toward this goal every day, day in and day out. So set that march in motion and get people on board with that and figure out what you need to do to improve and learn.
It's so easy to try stuff once and then to give up. The most important thing you can do to maintain momentum for radical candor is to bake it into what you're doing already. Make sure at the end of every one-on-one that you have with each of your direct reports that you are soliciting feedback. Make sure that you're aware of these impromptu 2-minute moments of management that you're having on a regular basis, and that you're not silencing yourself when you see problems, that you're not telling yourself, oh, I'll wait for a better moment, and then what you're really saying is, I'll never have that conversation. Another thing that can be really fun is to get your team to start expressing appreciation in kind of an all-hands way for great work that's happening. That can build a lot of goodwill on the team. You can try giving peer bonuses if you can afford that. But even just impromptu verbal praise, create some space for that in your meetings. And you'll find that as your relationships improve because of good communication, that is what really brings you and everybody else the energy that you need to keep momentum going.
My dad gave me this paperweight when I was a kid. I still have it today. On it, it says, what would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail? He's challenged me at varying intervals over the course of my work and honestly my life as well to ask myself that question. And whatever the most honest answer is, well, to just try to do that. Saying that far too many people are scared to say their biggest goals out loud for fear that if they do and don't achieve them, they'll let themselves and those around them down. But if you don't have that confidence, the conviction required to dream your biggest dreams out loud, it's very unlikely that they'll ever come true.
The successful CEOs and the successful leadership teams succeed by doing 3 things really well. They choose where they focus their energy, their money, and their investments. They ensure they keep developing themselves and the others. And they always aim to do things better in the future than they did in the past.